Hey everyone, it's Ashley Jones, Event Director at Marketing Showcase. Thanks for watching one of our recordings from Marketing Showcase Online. I really hope you enjoy it, and hopefully I'll see you at another one soon.
Welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm Andy Sherratt of Spa Professional Academy. As Ash just said, I'm run a CIM, Chartered Institute of Marketing Accredited Study Centre, which means that we offer qualification courses in marketing, everything from, if you understand academic level 3, which is kind of A-level standard qualifications, through to a level 7 that's a postgraduate level qualification. So in between that, we've got the certificate and the diploma. Successful branding, brand strategies, really is what we're looking at today. I mean, I've left the heading on as successful branding, but did a talk, I think last November or December, I can't remember which session it was, on branding. So bringing further on from that, I'm sure it's available to watch, bringing further from that to talk more about the strategy here today for it. So yeah, in terms of branding, I think actually the other thing is, you know, that if you signed up for the whole day, I think my talk is probably a little bit of the calm before the storm that Adam from Force 24 is doing next. So yeah, a little bit calmer than Adam is. He has loads of coffee. I've only got the water to drink while I'm going through my talk with you. So a little bit different for that. But yeah, what I want to talk to you about basically is some of the core elements of a brand strategy for it. And today's session is actually brought to you in Sesame Street style by the numbers 3, 4, and 6, as you will see as we go through the session today. So first off, though, what actually is, now can somebody tell me, has my screen just moved on? Because one of my screens doesn't appear to have done so on that. Let me just, there we go. Right, getting screen tech working is always the issue with these sort of things, isn't it? Yeah, what is a brand? So many definitions of what a brand is. So we've got a couple here that brand, an intangible sum. Actually, I'd question it being intangible because we can make it tangible and put it onto a balance sheet and all sorts of things like that. But the David Ogilvy of well-known ad agency Ogilvy and Mather, intangible sum of the product's attributes, name, packaging, price, history, reputation, and the way it's advertised. He's an ad man, so he's bound to include the ad word within there for it. So yeah, that's a definition of advertising, of branding, sorry, in terms of that. Why is that not moving? But a couple of others as well. I really like this one as a way to understand what a brand is. Another ad agency guy here, Sir John Hegarty, I better say. The brand, the most valuable piece of real estate in the world. And the reason it is that it's a corner of someone's mind. And that, to me, is absolutely what a brand is. No matter what we as an organization do with a brand, the brand is what the customer sees and perceives that brand to be. So it is the corner of their mind. And if we get the right corner of their mind in the right way, that is incredibly valuable. Now, I also want to talk a little bit briefly today on the personal branding side of it. So in terms of a definition for that, which isn't just about personal branding, but I did quite like this one from Jeff Bezos of Amazon, that a brand is what people say about you when you aren't in the room. So yeah, understanding people's thoughts, feelings about the individual on that basis. So certainly quite an interesting one to think of there from Jeff Bezos, as I say, quite like that one. Very much applies to the personal branding side of things rather than anything else. So having kind of set the scene a little bit there in terms of branding, just wanted to add one more in terms of that, which is that goes back to the Hegarty one there in terms of owning a piece of somebody's mind in terms of the brand, or a little piece of somebody's mind, that brands aren't just created by the organization. So this definition by Prahaladhan Ramaswamy, I always worry I'm saying these names wrong with any of these, the joint creation of value by the company and the customer. Now, one of the big trends in marketing generally is co-creation. It's digital has driven a lot of that, but what co-creation does is allows the customer to co-construct that experience to suit the context of themselves. So when we're developing brand strategies, involve the customer. That's the key part in terms of it. So involve the customer so that they construct the experience to suit what they want it to be. So our brand doesn't have to be absolutely fixed. Our brand can be what we want the brand to be and what the customer wants the brand to be for themselves. So that co-creation is a really great thing to consider. But in terms of branding, three elements of brand function, 3 bits of a brand that are really important to recognize why we have a brand. One is navigation. Really good branding and the big function of a brand is it helps customers choose. If you consider almost any purchase decision that we might be making, we'll look at alternatives, because it's very rare that there isn't alternatives for it. And we will make, subconsciously sometimes, but it's that corner of our mind, we will make a decision partly based around the branding. So the brand helps us to choose. Partly the way it does that is through reassurance. That brand name, if it's a recognized one, communicates something about the intrinsic quality, the basic qualities of the product or service that's being offered. We see a brand name and think, oh, that's a relatively cheap one, might not last very well, that's a really good one, and whatever. It communicates that, the brand communicates something to us on that basis. And of course, also the brand is very much can be about engagement. It's about the imagery that goes along with that brand, and the colors that support the brand, and the language and style of language that's used that hopefully is appropriate for the target customers. Thinking of Ashley's mug there now with what he's saying on that, that encourages customers to engage with the brand for it. And color is massively important. I think I mentioned that in a later slide as well for it. Now, there's only one slide that I've kind of repeated from, sorry, and I've just talked you through those without putting the words on the slide, haven't I? So apologies for that. So yeah, using 2 screens and looking at the right one at the right time is the problem there. So so that's the 3 elements of brand function for it. But just one slide that I'm repeating from my talk in November is just to let you know some things that brands that I think are really good. Innocent, if you think of the 3 things in that, we know that Innocent is a natural product. So we've got the kind of reassurance element of that, and the navigation, we know about them, and the engagement, follow, if anybody's seen Innocent on social media, fantastic kind of stuff on that, obviously. So Innocent are great. Guinness, the black and white, and how long that black and white has been around, and the consistent themes and messaging that Guinness have used for decades, really. And we all, whether you like the product or not, we all understand Guinness. But it's not just consumer brands as well. And okay, there's a little consumer brand element to it, but there are some fantastic industrial business to business type brands as well, where it really matters. But JCB, one of those, yes, as consumers, we all see it, but very well respected in the industry, globally, a really well-known, recognized brand. And another one that I think is fantastic, and I'm going to use them as an example later, so I don't really need to say much about them right now, but IKEA again, really strong branding for it. So that's some of my thoughts in terms of some great brands. So if we're looking at brand management though, what is a strategic brand management process? Well, taking one here from Keller, a branding author, his 4-step process he's got. Identify and establish the brand positioning and values as being the first thing for it, and looking at all these sort of things. But then I was thinking of this and I thought, it's not wrong, but it's not exactly exciting. So let's forget the theoretical elements in terms of this one for the moment, and let's have a look at brand strategy from a more applied methodology for it. If anybody wants to know about the theory, please get in touch. We've got a poll at the end. You can sign up and I'll send you some more stuff that you can understand it more from that. And if you want to sign up for a course as well, fantastic. But anyway, I'm not, that's not the main thing today. The thing is really to give you some practical tips to help. So what are 4 elements of brand strategy? What are the four things that we need to look at? The purpose of the brand. I'm going to go through each of these in a moment. Why does the brand exist? Consistency of the brand, really important. And whether we are a consumer or a B2B brand, an emotional impact matters. And we've got to make sure people are aware of the brand. We've got to activate the brand. So 4 key elements of a brand strategy to consider. So let's have a look at each of those. The purpose, first of all, and that's a really simple or very, very complex question to answer. Basically, why? Why does that brand exist? What is the purpose behind the brand? What do we want the brand to represent? And the thing about the why is that it's not, if you're a commercial organization, why do we exist? Well, to make money. And it's simple and straightforward. Why am I doing this? Why do I deliver CIM qualifications? To make money. But that's not what the brand is about. That's why I do it. Actually, it's not. Because actually transcending that commercial requirement, I love marketing. I love good marketing. And I want the world to be full of good marketers. So my main why for SPA Professional Academy is that I want to help people be better marketers for it. So, that's a why behind it. So the ultimate why, the ultimate purpose of an organization is more than any commercial requirement. And sometimes it's portrayed in things like the mission statements and things of an organization. And I think this is a good why for Nike. And it is one of their elements of mission for it. Why does Nike exist? To bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And then they qualify that, if you have a body, you're an athlete. So in other words, they want to bring innovation and inspiration to everybody in the world. Brilliant. And they do that through sports gear, which is absolutely fine. So that's what they do. So it's the purpose. Why does that brand exist? For it is really key. So if you've never thought about it, if you want to get your brand strategy right, you have to really understand why that brand is there. What is the purpose behind it? The next element of brand strategy to really consider is consistency. The brand has to be consistent. I mentioned Guinness as a brand that I think is fantastic. And yeah, I'll drink a Guinness. It's much nicer in Dublin than anywhere else in the world that I've had it. But it's not one of my favorite drinks, but as a brand, I like the consistency of A, the product, and B, the whole imagery and messaging around it has been fantastic. And what that, with consistency, the point there is that reassurance through consistency adds value to the customer, because we know we can rely on it. It's been there before. And so that really makes a massive difference to that. So we've got that reassurance that adds value to it. So as an example and I've said I'd come back to them, IKEA. IKEA are incredibly consistent in so many ways, and it adds value. We know what we're going to get, love them or hate them. And I know IKEA is a bit of a Marmite one, and so there's a good brand that's known for that. You know, IKEA is a bit Marmite, people love it or hate it. But brand-wise, it's massively consistent. Globally consistent is the other thing I would say in terms of that. So an IKEA location is quite distinctive for its appearance. So yeah, if you travel around many countries in the world, IKEA is instantly recognizable. So you've got that consistency for it. They have a very consistent product range, a massive product range, but there's quality in that product range of a certain level. And we know they've got a vast array of product range, but we also understand what the quality is and how that relates to pricing, because one of IKEA's big things is it's always very good value. They work really hard to take costs out of all of their products. So we've got that feeling about it. They're consistent on those things. The ambience, IKEA, whichever IKEA store you go in, and I guess this is why it's to love it or hate it side of it, or part of it, is that IKEAs always kind of feel the same. Does this make me a sad IKEA fan? I don't think so. It's just I happen to have done it. I've been in at least 3 IKEA stores in France for various reasons, buying, intentionally buying things. And the ambience, it feels like IKEA when you're in IKEA, wherever. It's only UK and France. I've been in a few in the UK and in France. And you've got that ambience. You just know you're in an IKEA. And then there is the other thing as well, that wonderful, wonderful one-way system that IKEA operate that really, that's probably a big reason for people hating it, I think, isn't it? But it's that consistency. You know that actually just follow the arrows. And if you get to know a store really well, yeah, I love that comment from Rob there. IKEA is the Aldi of furniture stores, or is Aldi the IKEA of grocery stores? I don't know which way. I'm not sure who came first, but yeah, absolutely. IKEA provide what people know it's for because of that consistency they've had over the years. So we've got that purpose, the consistency. The next one, emotional impact. So we do have to think about the kind of emotional impact that our brand has. And as I say, absolutely applies in a B2B, because just because you're purchasing for your organization doesn't stop most people being human, certainly on that basis. So emotions still form a key part of it. And I'm going to put a little model in here just for this from it's a branding book in terms of this, that the hierarchy of emotional involvement. And if we start off with predictability, consistency, as we've just talked about, and knowledge about things, that creates that dependability, and that reduces our risk. We make, I can depend on them, and so when we're making a decision about what to buy, we kind of takes away an element of risk, and that over time builds up trust. So we build an emotional investment in an organization as customers. And it works the other way as organizations building an emotional trust in their customers. So it can work both ways. And the higher that level of trust, the more we can build the trust, the greater our emotional impact tends to be. So this is where the number 6 comes in. There are 6 kind of built-in human emotions that we might have, and brands often respond to these sorts of things. So there's the surprise emotion, and organizations like Interflora are fantastic for the surprise. Delivering a bunch of flowers to somebody as a surprise would fit within that. struggling a little bit to think of an example for this one. Anger, yes, it's a built-in emotion that people have, but it's why when Marketing Showcase is back live, I'll bet you somebody on their table will have giveaways of stress balls, because stress ball manufacturers do that to help people's anger. I'm sure there's others as well, but that was a thought on that one. Fear is a real strong built-in emotion. And I've got to be careful how I say this, because the government are very, very good at producing fear. But rather than mention anything else, I'll talk about anti-smoking. You know, what do government messaging on anti-smoking is all about is building in a fear of people to discourage them from smoking. And other organisations can use fear as well to drive people away from something, to change behaviour. So that's a very strong emotion. Disgust. Now there's an interesting one to build a brand around, but ultimately organisations like Listerine, with their mouthwash, have built a brand around that emotion of disgust that people might have. Sadness, as an emotion, Hallmark cards would fit into that category, I think. You know, all of the ones with sympathy and so on that. But let's finish on a happy note of joy. And what better way to celebrate joy than a bottle of Moet and bubbly with some friends sort of thing. So emotional impact, and can we use some of those emotions and build brands around it very much. So then the fourth element of the brand strategy is the brand activation side. So what's brand activation? I love the comment there. Yeah, joy marketing showcase. Of course. Why hadn't I? I'm sorry for not thinking of that one as I went through. Brand activation, make the process of making your brand known to people, increasing awareness, increasing engagement where possible with a brand experience. There's loads and loads of these, but I did like this one from Vitamin Water, a hydration station at a summer festival. So if you want to experience vitamin water, just get soaked, basically. But a good fun way to engage with the brand. And what that does is shifts the focus from the sales process to looking much more at the buying process from the customer side. So when we've got a brand strategy, we've got to think how to bring it to life for customers, and that's where activation comes in. And just to look at another one from a little bit of a theoretical side, you know, in terms of the pillars of a brand that helps us with that strategy and to develop a strategic position: purpose, difference, value, and execution. Slightly different to the four I've just looked at there, but the purpose develops the brand loyalty. People become loyal to brands that they believe in the why. The difference creates a brand awareness. Great execution creates market share, and value is about a willingness to pay. It's not about being cheap. Value is about people are prepared to pay it because the quality price ratio means that they are willing to pay for that item at that stage. So what about personal branding then? Now, all of what I've just talked about applies if you are trying to build a personal brand. We need to build a personal brand because we're selling ourselves all the time. You have to be a little bit careful saying that. So a great quote from Oscar Wilde: "Why do we need a personal brand? Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." And the only thing I can say about personal branding is, yeah, you've got to be yourself. You can't be something else. Because if we look at it, in the distant past, we could have a difference between our public and our private selves. It was possible. We could separate those two things. But they've merged, and at present they've really merged. In the future, there's going to be no overlap. And the reason for that, social media. Wherever you go, whatever you do, your social media, if you use it, follows you around. And you know, that separation is just not there. And to be yourself, apart from anything else, it's far too damn complex to try and be two different things anyway, because you're bound to catch yourself out at some point. So 4 tips here for personal brand identity. questions to really think about in terms of how you can use some of the stuff I've already talked about, but apply it in the personal side of things. Who are you? You know, again, that basic question, you know, why are you there? What is it all about? Who needs to know is really important, because that way you can, just like we do with commercial branding, tailor messages to suit. How will they find out? How will the people that need to know find out about you? And then the real question that you can build your strategy around then is, why should they care? What is it that they should be caring about on that basis? So if you can answer those 4 questions, you can then really think about how to merge your public, private, and produce that brand identity that crosses, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's TikTok, Instagram. I've never figured out how the hell TikTok works. I've not come up with a reason for using TikTok yet, so I've not done that. But Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or any of the other social media things that exist in terms of that. So, you know, develop your personal brand and be yourself across all of those things. So hopefully that's given you a few thoughts on brand strategy. The sun's gone in while I've been talking, so I'm just going to put the light on because it was nice and sunny in my room when I came in. But yeah, thanks for watching. And anybody got any questions?
Andy, you normally bring the sun out.
Yeah, it was. I've obviously not got it quite right today somehow in terms of that.
Right, brilliant presentation, Andy. There's always so much. It's a very, very, you know, there's just stuff to take away from that, and I really appreciate you getting.
Yeah, great. No, pleasure.
We're going to do a couple of things now. I've got one question. I've got time for one question and one question only, and it's a brilliant one from Lynn. So we're going to get to that in a second. But just before I do, and people leave, I'm going to launch a poll on your behalf, Andy. Okay. And if Andy, after this session, is offering 2 things. He's got brand strategy video tutorials, which you guys can get your hands on. Or, and I don't know whether this has come out right, but on my screen, it's chopped off the end of this, a free consultation about developing your, Andy, do you want to finish me off?
Marketing career. Yeah. So just some tips on how you can develop your marketing career. You can have both, tick both boxes, I think, if you want, in terms of that. But yeah, the video is just some more detailed stuff that I kind of hinted at when I put the cross on, because it would be boring today. Yeah.
Just in case that it's chopped anything off, the second option is for a free consultation about developing your marketing career. So please, that's going to be running. Right, let's get on to Lynn's question, because it's literally the only one we've got time for. So Lynn has asked, can you get too big for brand to matter? I'm thinking of tech giants whose brands should be in tatters.
Do you know, that's a really interesting one, particularly with the tech side, because yeah, I think the brand still matters, but I think what we've got with people like Apple and Facebook and others is we've become so dependent on the brand that, yeah, maybe the brand doesn't matter. I hadn't actually thought of it like that. The brand is still there. The brand still counts, absolutely, but they are probably treading a very fine line between people using them because they've almost not got any choice and using them because they really want to. And the difficulty you then get is that you're kind of going away from the why those brands exist. And yeah, I mean, I've got a personal bugbear at the moment with the brands that are censoring views of people that don't comply with official stuff, because my own personal view is everybody should be entitled to the information properly to make a decision. And when it's not being allowed, it puts me off those platforms, certainly, for it. So yeah, interesting one. I might need to come back. Drop me an email.
No, it's not so much
that, and I'll happy to discuss it. But yeah, great.
I think also what you could say with that is, imagine if Facebook had a very a reputable brand that we loved. Imagine where they'd be. Imagine the success that we'd be seeing over and above. They're doing what they're doing now with a brand that's arguably in tatters, but imagine the power it has with if they could position their brand in a more favourable light?
It would absolutely lock out alternatives, I think, would be the thing there, because you would, I try not to use Facebook because I don't like it, but I want to know what's going on, so I do use it, sort of thing. So and I think that is the case with a lot. But if a really great alternative came along, I'd drop it like a stone. So
I think it puts, if they, the failure to ignore brand there puts them in a very dangerous position, I think.
It does.
Not that they are ignoring brand, they've probably got hundreds of people working on their brand.
Absolutely, but it's respecting those brand values that underpin it, of openness, that in that example, that's probably dangerous.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching another recording from Marketing Showcase Online. I hope you enjoyed it. Just to let you know, we've got all of the recordings uploaded to our brand new YouTube channel, so go over there and check it out if you want some more great content. We run these events once every month, free of charge, so head over to our website to grab tickets for next month's event. I look forward to seeing you there.